Cardinals.
There's only one team, and they're the Seahawks. One.
Still taking my time to perfect the beat, and I still got love for the streets. It's the
representing
DRE.
for the gangsters all across the world.
Still.
It's week 3, but finally we're getting there, boys. Hey, it's really good to see you guys. It's the NFC West Show on the new Sportsman UK. JT, man, I missed you. How are you, good guy?
Great to be back. Great to be back.
Yeah,
Football's
we're
back.
getting there. Football's back. Week 3's back. Yeah, Bo, I know we caught up a few weeks ago when things were all crazy. How's the move gone? How's that panning out for you? Are you kind of settled in now, or are you still half unboxing?
What's that?
How's the move gone? I know you were in process of moving, or are you still kind of prepping?
Yeah, it's going about how moving goes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Moving stuff.
Push it down the line as far as you can.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Pretty much.
Wow. So,
but it's good.
It's good. Excellent. So I suppose week 2, the week of the underdog, the week of the surprise results, the week of the everybody losing who nobody expected to. Jay, we've got to start with you, right? Because were you going into week 2 as an underdog against the Rams, do you think?
No, not with their injury issues on the offensive side of the ball. We felt fairly confident. No one saw that coming. I think the Rams had a nice little run with us at our place at home. I think they had won 9 straight here. So again, I went into the game feeling confident, especially the success we had last year, what we did to the Bills the previous week, especially in the first half, and then just the way we've been playing and who we are. But I didn't see that coming. That was that was fun football, and I haven't seen that since the Carson Palmer days, Kurt Warner, where you just boat race a team and it's over in the first quarter, really.
Yeah.
I mean Marvin Harrison ended it himself.
Yeah, welcome to the league, right? After the rumbles of the first week and not getting open, and the Kyler Murray, it's not my job to throw the ball to the receivers, and I was a bit like, isn't that your sole purpose of your job, right?
Yeah,
that's the exact job.
Well, that's not exactly what he said. He said it wasn't his job to get Marvin, which is exactly right. I'm glad he said that. And I think the bigger picture there was, I think in years past, and this is more for mainstream media, not Arizona media, but the focus and the way that Kyler's looked at is Kyler's me, right? It's all about Kyler and Kyler this and Kyler, right? And Kyler's, I think, point and anthem to everybody is, it's not all about me. It's about team, and it's not my job to ask Drew Petzing that. I mean, these are the coaches, and here's the players, right? I may be the quarterback of this team, but I love what he said. I didn't have a problem with that at all. It's not his job. I mean, the ball, when a play comes in, the ball needs to go to the right spot, and that's what made Kurt Warner so successful. Is he could diagnose where that ball was going before the ball was snapped, and so you're seeing Kyler do that. His reads are a lot better, and the ball is going. So in the Bills game, I didn't see him take hardly any risk at all. The ball just went where the defense would allow it to go. And in the Rams game, he did that, but he also took some risk, and we saw that.
We also saw some vintage Kyler, didn't we? I mean, we saw some EA Madden, Kyler, the spin moves and the extending plays. But yeah, you're right. I think in week 1, he was taking what the defense was giving him, and there was no, I must get the ball to Marvin because Marvin's number one, and everyone is expecting it. He was like, defense, give me that. Take the short check down, take the slant, take whatever's there.
Yeah.
Don't risk it. It's from your guys' point of view, and also from the rest of the league. It's a massive step forward. It seems like there's an evolution of Kyler Murray's play here that maybe he's starting to mature, starting to realize it's not. He has to be, every play running around for 35 seconds, spinning, making people miss and whatever else. It's like, hey, look, there's a 5-yard out there. Just take it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But fair play when he does run around and spin moves and makes plays like that. Wow.
Absolutely amazing. And
jaw-dropping.
Last week, he just put it all together, right, in one game and a bow and packaged it for the, everybody to see, all NFL fans. Like, we've known that, like Cardinal fans, Kyler Murray fans. It's like, yeah, we know that's That's why I've always said he is the most talented quarterback the Cardinals have ever had. I love Kurt Warner. I love Carson Palmer, but Kyler Murray is like head to toe, arm and legs combined. He is the most talented quarterback we have ever seen. He has to put it all together, and so
Yeah.
we're starting to see that, and it's fun to watch, and you can tell he's having fun out there.
Yeah, and I think that's new, right? Because I don't think the fun aspect of him playing has always been so obvious to it, from the outside. Maybe it has been, but from the outside, it always looked like there was a job. It was a job. He was lost
Yeah.
that sort of.
You're absolutely right. Yep. I think losing more on him.
Yeah.
I think losing more on him it would wear on anybody. But I mean, we lost a lot last year too. But you could tell he was having fun. He is really bought into this system. I think the whole team has. And you heard me say a lot last year. Man, I really like the direction we're going. Even though we won 4 games, that was it. I still do. I love the direction we're going. The Lions are a 3-point favorite today, so we'll see. But I think it's going to be a tough. They are favorites, but I think it's going to be a really tough game. They run the ball extremely well. That's something we do, especially against the Rams, right? 40 times for 231 yards, 5.8 yards a carry. 5.8. You can talk about injuries on the offense side of the ball for the Rams, but their defense was fine.
Yeah, the defense is not the place where they're missing tricks.
And we dashed them
I
last
would not
week.
say their defense was.
Sorry, in terms of injury reports, sorry, that's where I'm going. Yeah, maybe I should clarify that. Yeah.
And I think Sam's on the injury report today, right? Not why he's not here.
Sam's called off injured.
He's
today,
on the report. He popped up there on Thursday. So it
did
was
not
just
participate. I don't think it's an injury. Yeah.
I was there with my son, my 8-year-old son. He was going nuts. I'm going nuts. We're high-fiving. We're in amazement, disbelief. Like, is this really happening? Like,
yeah.
So
such a nice feeling, right? As you say, because you had that year of the couple of years of Dolphins.
I feel like it's been an eternity since we've been able to enjoy football like that.
Yeah, and as Feather Feverbud says there, happy Sunday, guys. And, that must be the feeling around Arizona right now, that you're looking forward to Sundays again rather than...
Well, that's a Seahawks fan right there.
Yeah, and they're loving life right now. So how do you feel, Bo? 2-0?
I know.
Division? Did you see it? I mean, the early slate of games have not been...
Yes. I did expect them to win their first 2 games. And only because of the teams they were playing. Right. This is a team that needs to stack wins at the beginning because our schedule gets harder as the year goes. So they're going to have to really take advantage of Miami coming to town and being bad, right? Because they're down their quarterback. We don't really know who's getting the start. It could be Huntley, could be Skyler. So we'll see what happens there. And Alec, I did see the Seahawks being 2-0. I didn't see them being 2-0 with how bad that offensive line looks. The offensive line has been just absolutely terrible. And it was funny because coming into the year with all the new pieces they had, I'm like, okay, this offensive line should take a step forward. Like this should look good. And Pro Football Focus had them ranked as the worst offensive line in the league. And I was like, that's some hater stuff. And then after 2 games, I'm like, maybe they're not wrong.
Maybe those guys actually know some things. I'll say some things. No, I won't give them carte blanche on everything, right?
The other big concern I have with our team is we have an inability to stop the run still. And that's a major concern. Obviously, it wasn't that big of a deal the first 2 weeks. I mean, it was against the Patriots. I mean, they ran it all over us. But, as you start to get into teams that have multiple aspects of their game, right? Like that's all the Patriots have is they can run because they can't pass the ball particularly well. So, when we start seeing teams that can run and throw the ball, that's where I'm real concerned about our defense because I don't care how good your secondary is. If you're
Bo's frozen for a little bit there, but he's absolutely right. Yeah.
But I mean, really the trenches for both sides on the Seahawks are the biggest problem because when you watched last week against the Patriots, there were multiple times where they needed to pick up 1 yard and they lost yardage each time they had to do it. So there's just no push up front, and on defense, when they are getting home, it's great, but there's plenty of times that there's big enough holes that throw to a tight end, running up the middle, seam routes. Like it feels a lot like what I've been talking about for the last few years.
I was going to say there's a bit of deja vu there because you were very weak against tight ends. You were very weak across the middle last season.
Exactly.
It doesn't sound like they've found a way to plug that. And the run defense last year was your Achilles heel because teams could just go, all right, shove it up the gut and run over, 3-4 yards to carry all the time, right?
We made guys look like Hall of Famers in games where they weren't doing anything, and then they'd tear off a 200-yard running game. You're like, wait, what happened? So yeah, no, it's a little bit rough. Now, fortunately, these are a lot of new guys, so I do expect these units to get better as the season goes. Some of that is just hope.
It's the green tinted glasses coming in, right?
Right? It might be. I'm hoping I'm not. But yeah, and DK always looks solid. The problem is he finds ways to make easy plays look hard. He can make the miraculous catch and all of that, but then he'll have ones that hit him in the numbers and he can't bring it in. So there's some of that that's a little bit tough when it comes to DK. I feel far more reliability from Tyler Lockett and JSN than I do from DK. Like he's a good guy for stretching the field, keeping the defense honest, but I expect JSN to have probably a huge step forward from last year, and a lot of those touches will be taken from DK.
Yeah, I think
it's help your offense too. The balance that's going to balance out your offense. It's really going to help DK. I think in the long run,
for sure.
I think it'll get him more open. It'll get him those potentially those bigger, splashier plays, maybe, which renowned for, as you say, taking the roof off of somebody. Whereas JSN is there getting those short yards, picking up those short receptions, which move you forward and build a confidence in your offense. I think you need to spread it around a bit and not just be quite so one-dimensional with DK.
Well, I mean, JSN's also going to get a lot of touches while this offensive line tries to come together, because if they're just running free at Geno, your slot guy is the guy that's open.
Right.
Yeah. He's a check down guy. It's just like, get it to him. Get out of there. Yeah. Yeah, and then obviously we got the Niners who have been stumbling out. I mean, out of the gate Monday Night Football, they looked like the number one team in the NFC. They kind of bullied the Jets all over the field, and it was like, okay, this is back to Super Bowl. Here we come. We're coming back again. Revenge tour and all those sorts of stories were bandied around. Obviously, the CMC undercurrent, I suppose that's a story in and of itself. How long have they known this wasn't just a calf, and it was more, Achilles tendonitis, and now he's on IR. And I know there's a whole hoo-ha about how long have they known that for, and why did they wait for so long? And, yes, around fantasy, but there's an awful lot of fantasy football players out there really upset that they wasted the first pick on CMC, knowing did everybody know? But and now obviously they're starting to pick up a few niggles early season. Soft tissue injuries that we've all talked about. They don't play in preseason. Suddenly they start picking up Debo with a calf strain. Now you've got Kittle's out this week with a hamstring tightness and not quite an injury, but it's starting to kind of. I don't want to say there's a concern, obviously, because they were poor against the Vikings. They didn't really turn up. They looked disjointed. They looked like they were missing some of the big guys. The pieces weren't quite falling together. Granted, it was against Minnesota, and I don't think we've won in Minnesota since I was 18.
I was going to say they play you guys very, very tough. Yeah.
Yeah, I think somebody said the last time we won in Minnesota was 1992. So we've got like an 0-18 record against them away from home. So it's a tough place. It's one of those bogey places. But just all round, it just seemed a little. I think and the Niners fans said if it wasn't for Fred Warner, we could have lost that game by a bucket load of points. He was like all over the field. He's playing at defensive player of the year kind of levels, but the rest of the team just seem a little bit out of sync right now.
Yeah. Well, and
Well,
I think the opener could have been very different also if Rodgers had played anything in the preseason.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there were a few of those catches that Garrett Wilson dropped, and it wasn't necessarily
Yeah.
because they weren't on target. It's because he's just not used to the velocity that Aaron Rodgers throws short passes at. You know,
Yeah.
most quarterbacks try and throw with a little touch there, and Rodgers is like, I wonder if I can put this ball through your face.
Yeah.
And, you know,
I got to get this ball to you before it's even left my fingers, type
exactly.
thing, right? Yeah.
And I mean, you know, if you don't get a lot of reps that way, you're not ready. And so you watched Garrett Wilson, who has some of the more sure hands in the league, drop like 4 or 5 passes that were first downs in that game. So, I mean, it could have been very different.
I think in that first game, you know, it took a few series for the Niners to get going. I think maybe it was a quarter. But I feel like once they got going, I mean, MVP Aaron Rodgers, I don't think would have helped the Jets. I mean, it was just.
Well, I still think
I was really hoping there would be some type of hangover or lag. I was really hoping, because they've been to so many NFC conference games, so many Super Bowls in the last 5-6 years. I was really kind of hoping there was an outside shot that maybe, you know, that locker room was just like over it and tired, like we do this every year and it doesn't work out.
It's so close.
And then they come out and they just smack the Jets, the Jets want to play the 49ers style of the ball, right? They want to run the ball, play amazing lights out defense, and, you know, light you up on the outside, right? And that's what the Niners did, and the Jets just didn't do it. You know, and yeah, you lost to Brian Flores last week, basically. But, you know, Minnesota always plays you tough. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be the same thing as last year for San Francisco. I think, you know, you're going to be there in the end, the NFC Championship game. There's outside of injury, I don't see why you shouldn't, you know, go. You have all the pieces. And I just pray to God this is the last year that I'm saying this.
But, you know, it's funny though.
I think the window is there, right? I think everyone sees it with everything that's happening. There's a window here.
And that's what really puzzled me about Trent Williams. It's like to me, it was like you're stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. Like you have a 1-year window here to win a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
A Super Bowl. And you're squabbling over some guaranteed money, really. Like, figure it out, guys. Figure it out. I'm going to be in camp. I understand he's getting older and he doesn't like training camp anyway. So, and obviously he doesn't like Rusty at all. But it's like,
yeah, it definitely looked like he missed time, right?
The optics of it. Get in camp. Get it. Like everybody knows this is your last season, really, unless they do some type of cap, you know, miracle.
Kick it down the curve again for another 7 years and don't have to pay. It's something crazy, but yeah, that was what I got kind of all the way through the offseason with the Brandon Ayuk and with the Trent Williams and all these sort of things. Just guys, you've got to look around the league and go, there's nowhere else you kind of would rather be playing right now.
Brandon Ayuk, you really want to go to the Redskins? Really? Like, what do you?
You want to go to the Steelers? You
want to go to Philadelphia? Like, come on.
New England was on the board. It's like, come on.
You guys have all the pieces there. You have a great head coach, great defensive, you know, pieces. Like, I just don't get it. Why would you want to go anywhere else? Then, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the best contender you have a shot to be on. Like everywhere else you're going to go would be a downgrade.
And did you hear that collective kick in the gut XL when Jordan Mason had the game that he had? The whole NFC was like, oh my God.
Seriously, yeah. Not just I think the rest of the NFC were like, yeah, really? CMC was
unreal. Another undrafted, running back.
Out the next guy out, yeah.
You know, it's funny because based to your hangover point is I didn't think there was going to be one because they've been in this situation for the last 5 years. So this is like the kid in their 20s that's now just used to drinking and showing up the next day with a stamp on the wrist. They're just like, you know what? I'm just going to power through. I was wearing these clothes last night, but we're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the college kid is like third year in. He's just like, this is how it works now. I know I've got my legs under me. I know I can just power through, get me some Red Bulls and get away.
Right? Yeah. Alec brings up a great point. Fred knows. Hey, this is it. Let's go. And he's playing like that too. That defense. I feel like the defense is playing like that. Yeah. I feel like everybody. The Niners are a great team. And I feel like I always am on the wrong side talking positively about the Niners, but They are. They are just.
They
They're very team oriented, and that's what most teams need to get to. Right?
So
Is
teams
just
aspire to,
it's
right? Is
about the
that,
name on the front of the jersey, not the back of the jersey. And the Niners have that. So
yeah, and I don't think that's what got me about the contract stuff this season was a bit. It felt a bit me versus team,
which is
getting
not
it,
the Niner way.
which is not the normal way, as you say.
Yeah.
Yes, we've had the big stars and the big names, but they've all been team players and made sure that the team came first in a weird way. Now those contracts kind of felt, well, apart from Turner Owens, there's been a few prima donnas.
It's that saying, there is no I in team, but there is a me. So
Yeah.
bring me the money.
Yeah. Bring me the money, yeah. And I suppose it's different now. We still look back to those sort of days of pre-free agency and pre-cap and stuff like that, where you were a one-man team, you played for that team until you could not play anymore.
Right.
The last season or two of your
We
league,
all remember those days.
we
Yeah.
remember those days. But now it is a bit more of a win now. You have a very short space.
Contract for
You've
hire.
got 4 or 5 years. You're a mercenary. You're out there getting your money in the next 6 years. So the window is so short, but the team has done really well, as you say, Jay, to build that sort of environment where players want to come to that organization, stay in that organization for maybe a little longer, because it is an ethos there of winning, but winning together rather than individualistic. But I think it is looking in a year or two's time where there has to be a transition. We know there's a massive contract coming for the guy under center.
Yeah.
It's going to have an impact across some of our, skill players. Trent Williams, by that time, as you say, 2 years, is probably retiring in preparation of getting fitted for his gold jacket. So
I hope so.
Lots of things change there, obviously. It's going to be an interesting year. Obviously, doom and gloom after losing to the Vikings has kind of been slightly, the way it works, the roller coaster of, hey, we're going to win everything. Oh my God, we're terrible. Early on week 2, where everything is either hunky-dory or falling apart. And I think I said on the show, it's only week 2, but again, week 2 is still almost a ninth of the way into the season. This season is so short, you can't be, you can't slip up too many times.
No, I agree. I agree.
So, looking ahead then, boys. So, Jay, you said Detroit coming to town, 3 points favourites, which I suppose in a weird way, considering they were in the NFC Championship game, only being 3 point favourites is slightly, I think that's a nice shot.
They're definitely giving us a little bit of respect there.
A little bit of respect
makers, yeah, for sure. Having a little bit of health issues, not what the Rams and Sam is going through, but we're now at our 3rd right tackle. But no, we'll see. We do what the Lions do. The Lions do it a little bit better offensively, but we're very tough in the trenches, running the ball. You saw what we did last week. That's not a fluke. We're going to be a top 3 running team this year. And just our run game, the Lions run the game. That's what I'm most excited to watch. Well, my son and I also get to go on the field pregame. Super excited about that.
Amazing.
Yeah, very, very excited about that. But I'm just excited to see this game, see the trenches on both sides. And hey, listen, I think I saw a stat the other day that I didn't like, that the Lions last year, every time they lost, they bounced back and would win the following week. They never had back-to-back losses. So, I'm super excited about that stat. But, I am excited about the way we're playing, the direction we're going. And that stadium last week was just unreal, on fire. And I really expect the same thing today against the Lions.
Feel like a proper sort of home field advantage as it got behind.
It really did, and we haven't had that in a long time. So it's fun to see when there's 76,000 Cardinal fans rise up Red Sea. It's pretty amazing.
But how are you feeling? As you say, Miami come to town. They've still got all their speedsters. Most of their speedsters, I think, are fit now. Is A-Chain back? No, I don't think he is he?
Yeah, this should be interesting, because if they signed Huntley, right?
And is he going to plug him in? They can't plug him in straight away off the practice squad of the Ravens, surely.
I
You're
mean,
gonna
they
have to go
can.
with
You
Skyler.
watched Baker go to the Rams and win a game,
Yeah.
showing up 3 days prior. So, I mean, it's entirely possible. Yeah, I mean, they have a better shot if Huntley starts than Skyler, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we watched Skyler finish that game out, and he looked terrible. So, I mean, it would be better for them if Huntley were to start. That being said, Seattle does play down to competition when a backup quarterback is in. Like, they find ways to struggle against that scenario. So, if it's Skyler, I think that we have enough of on the defensive side to get to him. If it's Huntley, not that I think he's a great athlete by any means, but he is effective. And, last year, similarly, we watched, Dalton come in place of a injured Bryce Young and almost win that game. Right. So, I mean, just Seattle over the years struggle with backup quarterbacks. And so I always, even though you look at it and you're like, oh, yeah, I mean, we should get this win. At the same time, I've watched enough of them that I'm like, I mean, we should win.
He should. It's that kind of
it's not
question.
just any
Should,
backup
isn't it?
quarterback. It's a seasoned veteran, right? It's a veteran that knows what he's doing. All right. He might not know that system as well as, it'd be nice if he'd been there for a few years, but it's a veteran, and we've seen veteran backup quarterbacks do some great things in this league.
For sure. Well, and that's why I'm curious, because I haven't actually seen who officially is getting the start, if it's Huntley or if it's Skyler.
Yeah. I would just be concerned about the stopping the run, especially not only with today's game, but also just playing in the NFC West, right? When you have teams like the Cardinals who love to run the ball, who are very effective at it, and obviously the 49ers who love to run the ball and are very effective at it. So stopping that's going to be paramount. Stopping the run, that's going to be huge, I think, in this division, and going forward.
I mean, that's just going to be huge for the Seahawks in general. Not even just within the division. I mean, they're letting everybody run, and that's a problem, because we're talking about bad teams are able to run.
And you've won these last two games by combined 9 points. I think 6 and 3. So, but hey, a W is a W, right?
Right.
There's
Even if it's overtime against the
1 point win is a 1 point win, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
So
I'll take an ugly win over a pretty loss every time.
Every single day of the week. Yep.
Every single time. Absolutely.
Twice on Sundays.
Yeah.
And then we got
That's
Sam.
interesting. Yeah, that's a good shout.
What's that?
Then we just got Sam dodging us. I
think he was just doing that so that Jason couldn't really rub it in, and I think that we're going to have to save that for next week, because there's no way we're letting him away with that, right?
Is next week going to be better? It just means you get to rub it in, because I mean,
that's true. That is true, because it is kind of a get right game for the Niners, isn't it? We're traveling down to SoFi Stadium or Levi South to kind of get right after a
we may never see a Rams guy on this show.
You might just call it. And it's weird though, because I kind of had the Rams being better than that. I thought the Rams are going to be the second best team in the division, in this division, and it doesn't seem. I mean, yes, okay. I mean, Puka on IR, they're getting decimated, across the board. So, I think they're tight. Allen's on injured. I don't think he's on IR, but he's out again for the second week, I think. So, they are struggling on that side, and it does. And we know how injuries can totally derail the season. But
sure,
wow,
well, and
they are.
They're gonna end up with a problem since at this point they have their third guy as their number one receiver, right? That doesn't say good things, which means all of a sudden Stafford's going to have to hold the ball more, so he's going to get hit more.
And we all know it's a red flag for everybody, right?
Exactly. So, I mean, I would bet if they don't get some of these guys back that Stafford gets hurt again, because, I mean, he can't take the hits that he used to. And then all of a sudden you're going to see Stetson Bennett out there. And
if you're the Rams, do you trade him?
Who, Stafford?
Yeah. That cupboard's really bare. I mean, they don't have a ton of picks, and you can get a lot back for a Stafford, a team that needs a quarterback push over
Miami. You like if you're Miami,
go after
all
him.
right.
If you're Miami, yep.
If you're Miami, you go after him, or in a three-way trade, the Rams send Stafford to Miami and pick up Bryce Young on the cheap and kind of rehab him.
Oh, you don't do that.
Yeah, nobody rehabs Bryce. Is nobody rehabbing Bryce Young? Just taking it out of division. What about somebody?
Hey, I think absolutely. I think so. I just don't want. He doesn't need to be starting this year. He doesn't need to go to another place right away and be the man somewhere else, right? Ideally, like, hey, go and sit behind somebody for a little bit and win the job. But
why I say you don't do that isn't really a slight of Bryce. It's the fact that you have Stetson Bennett in the room who won 2 national championships in college. Like, you already have your young guy that.
Oh, that young though, is he?
Well, I mean, whatever. Young in the
league. I think he's 27 or something. Isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, something like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, you already have your guy that you can build around. So you don't have to give up the draft picks that you kind of don't have because you already have the guy in the room. And then you already have your backup in Jimmy G, right? Because they're carrying three quarterbacks. So, I mean, you could potentially move off of Stafford if you wanted to, get that draft capital back. And there's no reason to go get a project when you already have one in the house, right? Like, if you're working on some, old GTO, you got to rebuild. You're not going to go buy a Camaro also. Like, you're just be like, hey, let's just finish the project that's already in the garage.
Yeah, maybe it's an interesting one.
A junkyard at your house, who knows?
Yeah, maybe you just got multiple different places. It sounds like, to be honest, that's what it must look like in the Panthers. Right now they've just got junkyards everywhere. Anyway, so bad, and it is quite wild to think that Jimmy G this week would have had to have been playing the Brock Purdy role for the scout teams, because he would have had to have been pretending to be Brock for the defense. It's just like how. He must have enjoyed that one, right? He stole his job and then he's doing that. It's bizarre. Yeah, I think you're right. From a Rams perspective, it also lends it, a bit one-dimensional. They're going to have to lean on Kyron Williams on the run game because, there's a reason to Atwell is, their third receiver. It's like he's not number one, so Stafford's not going to have that much trust in him. He's not used to running those, number one receiver routes and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be a Kyron Williams heavy, probably offensive structure, but
moving forward
is going to, for this week, it's certainly going to lend itself to the get right for the 49ers defense as well, because I think they can kind of know what's going to come, which, is could be a risk because there could be a attached complacency of like, hey, you guys are going to be run heavy. Maybe they come out and sling it around a bit just because everyone's expecting them to run it, and it could be a bit of a, hey, we've got nothing else to lose. But
did Kupp actually hit IR? I know Puka did, but
I thought so. I'm pretty sure it was confirmed he went IR for 4 weeks.
Okay, yeah, because they were talking about trying to keep him off it, so I wasn't sure if they did finally place him.
Was not placed on IR.
Yeah, I thought they were trying to avoid it because they thought they might be able to get him back within 2 weeks.
Within the 2 weeks, right? Within the 4, because if you put him on IR, it's minimum 4, isn't it?
Exactly.
So he can't come back. Okay.
Yeah, so I think, I don't think they placed him because they were hoping to get him back early. And Sam's glad he's just not here.
Yeah, he's just getting ripped to pieces here. I mean, Stafford to the Steelers for Raw there. It's like, I don't know. Is there room for Stafford on the Steelers QB bench there with Russell Wilson?
Honestly
eating money, and
you could full on move off of Russ and Fields if you wanted to. They're not paying either one of those guys.
That's true, because Denver is still paying for Russell Wilson, and I think Chicago are paying others. They picked up Fields on nothing, didn't they? Yeah. Yeah,
well, and they denied his 5th-year option. So Fields last year is like $4 or $5 million, something like that, that they're paying out, and then they're only paying Wilson $1 million. So they could literally
or something, isn't it? Yeah.
They could junk the whole thing and bring in Stafford if they wanted to.
I don't see them doing that. I think Mike Tomlin loves the type of football the Steelers are playing right now, right? Just get me 6-9 points and my defense is good, right? This is Mike Tomlin football. That's his recipe. So
imagine if the offense was good though.
Right?
I think they did have a QB.
Well, they need to have a situation like the Niners, right, where you have this explosive offense with a defense that can play with anybody and shut anybody down. So,
Yeah, I enjoy that they don't have that.
yes,
Right now, yeah. Right now. And just as Alex says there, what's happening with my screen here, bizarrely. Seahawks going 3-0 and the Rams going 0-3.
yeah, that's gonna be wild,
It's rough.
right?
It's rough.
That's a
We
rough
saw
start.
that coming.
I don't hate it.
You know,
I know.
in the night, don't hate it. No, how could you? How could you? Right? I'm not hating on it either. Although Seahawks being 3-0 is going to stick in the craw a little bit, but the Rams being 0-3, I don't hate seeing that at all.
No, not at all. No, that'll be beautiful. But
Yeah.
1-2 after today wouldn't be what Cardinal fans want to see. But again, we just want to see good football, and we're definitely going in the right direction. Again, I think we have a great shot today. And it's not catching anybody sleeping. I think, unfortunately, everybody's seen, the clips from last week and who we are and what we can do. And, so we're not sneaking up on anybody. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
And I think they'll be ready to play. And the Lions are just a well-coached, good team. So it's going to be fun. Today's going to be a lot of fun.
I really think you guys are that 7-win team. I think you guys are kind of positioned to be like the Texans were last year, where you guys are a scrappy team. You got a lot of young guys.
Yeah.
You're gonna catch some people potentially looking past you. You're gonna win some of those games you shouldn't, and you're gonna lose a couple games you shouldn't. I feel like you guys are kind of on that same track, and the way that you guys kind of manipulated your draft picks this year was fantastic, because in the late rounds, it seemed like every other pick was the Cardinals.
Yeah.
They're like, the Cardinals are back up for the 5th time this round. And you're like, what happened?
How did that happen? Like in the 4th round with this pick?
It was a great draft. Monty once again knocked it out of the park. And what's so instrumental and huge, and something we didn't get with Steve Keim, is that he's making these picks, and they're coming in and they're making and having an impact on this team.
Yeah.
So we would see in years past with Steve Keim, they would make that pick, and it was like maybe one of them would hit. Or 1.5, practice squad guy, and but just
another body,
these guys. Yep, and then they come in and make an impact. Darius Robinson was our late 1st round draft pick who ended up on IR. When he comes back, our defense, I'm really happy with the way our defense is playing right now, and I think getting players. Getting some more talent on the defensive side of the ball is going to help us tremendously. But they're very content with just sitting pat right now. There was rumblings. They're like, dude, sign us on Reddick. And when you get, Robinson back, and then BJ Ojulari comes back next year from his torn ACL. But, I'm content where we are right now.
You don't need that sort of drama. You don't need that extra drama, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants that Hassan Reddick drama with him. He comes, yes, he's a great player, but he comes with so much baggage and so much drama. And with the ethos that they're building there, as you say, I know Rob's there kind of giving you some grief there, saying you wish you were the Seahawks, but it's kind of true. It's what you're attaining to, right? You're rebuilding, you're moving forward to being that sort of organization and the young team, putting it all together in that defense. I think you're going to lean on that defense a bit as you go forward. I don't want to say a Legion of Boom-esque type thing, but you've got that sort of pieces where that's going to be a hell of a defense when they all start to click and get older and have a year or two in the league.
Yeah, I mean, really the Cards are just like a year behind where the Hawks are. Like they're a rebuilding team. The Rams, who knows how exactly that's coming together. But the Niners, this is your guys' best shot. Because after this, you guys have a lot of issues coming forward with cap issues. Purdy's going to get paid. That means some people are going to leave the team. That team's going to start to look very different. Not to say that John Lynch hasn't been a wizard finding ways to plug holes with guys that, were late draft picks or undrafted, whatever. But yeah.
And Kyle Shanahan's a great coach. He's going to be able to coach the new guy
Whoever,
that gets
yeah,
put in.
the new guy that comes in, they'll fall into the coaching scheme.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not happy about that.
John Lynch has been good at finding those guys who can plug into the system, as we talked about. This ethos, this whole thing. It's more about. I don't think it's more about the guys who have the best talent, but I think they have deliberately gone out and found and drafted and pulled in guys who fit the ethos,
system.
who work their backsides off to fit into the system. And
do you think? I wish Sam was here for this question, but do you think if the Rams just fall flat, which they very well could with the injuries,
could be 0-5 soon, right?
They really could.
Their season be done.
Does their coach, who's been flirting with retirement
anyway, TV?
Does he finally be like, I had a good run? Because I mean, that's on the table too.
Yeah, there was talk about it, wasn't it? After the Super Bowl hangover year, which was the worst defense of a Super Bowl title ever, they all wanted to bring it back to prove that they were better than that. And they kind of did that last year, but
they didn't have an
really
offensive
work
line that year either.
Yeah, so
the Rams and the Cards both had no offensive line, which is why both their quarterbacks got hurt that year.
Yeah.
I would love that. Being a Cardinal fan, I would love playing them last week and not seeing number 99. Aaron Donald. That was beautiful. Bobby Wagner, beautiful. Not to see. So it'd be beautiful to not have Sean McVay on the sidelines anymore but I don't see that happening. I don't see him wanting to go out like that. He's such a competitor.
I don't know if
he's such a great coach.
He talks about it every offseason though.
He always. I don't know if is it a negotiation tactic to kind of get a little bump on some?
Yeah, and another thing we got to remember is, are they answering questions, or is he bringing it up? Right. So as media, right, we get mad when people they don't answer any questions, or they don't give you anything, and then when they do, we say, oh, well, they always bring. Well, are they answering the question that was asked to them? Like, I wouldn't necessarily say that's bringing it up.
But if you're answering it in a way where you're like,
it turns to that,
right? There's still truth.
You're entertaining it, yeah.
And so, because it would be very easy. They're asking the question because you haven't shut it down,
right?
Yeah.
If you just come out and be like, "Nah, I'm the coach moving forward. We're on to next year, or whatever." No, they stop asking. Right, but if you're
they get the same answer and it's so short all the time, they'd be like, "Oh, there's no point in asking this anymore." But as you say, he's always there, kind of going, "Well,
if you're having fun and kind of flirting with it, and you're like, well, TV could be fun." It's like, well, you're feeding into that conversation.
Yeah, that's true. But Sean McVay's not a Bill Belichick type. He doesn't give 2-word answers. He's windy. He likes to talk, and
well, even if you like to talk, you can still shut that down. Right?
Yeah.
You can be like, well,
about other stuff.
I'm done coaching. Yeah, I look at being in the booth, but as it sits today, I'm the coach moving forward. Like, we're here to win.
That's
we
not
want
for another 6-10 years or whatever.
You can stretch out that 2-word answer into a segment and still be like, no, I'm the guy.
And still shut it down. Yeah.
And he's not done that. And, we've seen that the most recent step into the booth from off the field hasn't gone as well. I don't know. Tom Brady hasn't exactly lit up the screens at his analysis and stuff. I think people have been a bit underwhelmed. But Sean McVay in the booth would be, I think, quite something.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, yeah. It'd be good. The Tom Brady thing is funny because it's almost like he doesn't know what he wants to be as a commentator, right?
Yeah.
Like he's like reaching for things he wants to emulate. And then, some of it is he's trying to be Tony Romo as far as breaking a play down, but he doesn't explain it in a way that's entertaining.
That the rest of us. Yeah.
Right. He's explaining it almost how you would expect Bill Belichick to be, even though Belichick's been great on screen.
On the Manning cast, he's great, right?
No, he's been fantastic, but you expect him to have a little more charisma like a Romo, and instead it's almost kind of robotic in the way that he's doing it. Now, I imagine he's going to get better over time, right? Like if we go back and watch any of our first tapes doing podcasting, I bet it is hot trash.
Right.
Hey, that's assuming that this isn't right.
Yeah, I'm still hot trash, so yeah.
So I mean, you know, I would imagine he's going to get better over time. But yeah, it has been a little rough.
Bring back Greg Olson. That's what we all say.
I mean, I feel like they kind of did him a little bit dirty.
A little dirty.
They kind of didn't need to do that. I get why they did it, right? Because at the end of the day, this is selling advertising dollars, right?
They're making a fortune having Tom Brady's face on their screen, right? I mean, that's
Exactly.
the name, the face, everything. You can see from a business, yes, absolutely. But, you know, from a personal point of view, do you think that Greg got a little bit of a raw deal out of that?
No question. No question. Especially to just move on altogether. I mean, I feel like they could have at least given him a different job. As opposed
they
to,
could have split some of the primetime ones, right? They could have said, you know, but they just literally went, no, sorry, Greg, you're second team now, get back in. It's like, wow.
yeah, they're just like, yeah, you know, enjoy Walmart. And, you know,
Pretty much.
It was kind of rough.
Yeah.
It was kind of rough.
Yeah.
But and again, from a business standpoint, I get it. Makes sense. But
Yeah.
But now you look at it and you're like, well, the commentation isn't actually as good as Greg Olson's was. So
Yeah, and that's even more. Yeah, what Alex says there, Murray v. Hutchinson. That should be a hell of a showdown for you to watch if you're going to the game. Because
that'll be very entertaining to watch. Absolutely. And Aiden Hutchinson likes to line up on that weak tackle, the weak side. He doesn't line up, you know, left side or a strong tackle. So, and when he's faced, you know, lined up across from a third string right tackle and Barton,
he's coming.
He's coming for you.
You're going to see a lot of.
It could be some Kyler magic.
You're going to see a lot of 13 personnel today.
No
one
questions.
back, 3 tight ends. You know, a lot of people say
Yeah,
that.
they're all on that side,
block.
right?
Yeah. Tip Ryman. You're going to see a lot of Tip Ryman today.
Oh yeah.
So,
No,
we've got a
very
fullback
entertaining.
you can
I
pull
can't
out,
wait.
right?
That's what Seattle had to do all last year, right?
Yeah.
13 personnel.
Yeah.
You're just like,
Bring it out.
as many helpers as you can.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, hey, Jonathan Gannon said this. He said this last year. He's very consistent with his message. This is the type of team that we want to be. We want guys who buy into the process of, you know, what goes into the game day, not the outcome. Buy into the process, and everybody has, and it's so much fun to watch, you know, these guys buying into the process. So I have that Seahawks game circled now. I think it's November, late November. We don't see you guys till late November, but then we play you twice in 3 weeks.
Exactly.
Flip over. You've almost got the flip over, right? The halfway point. You kind of play week.
I don't
8
remember
or something,
offhand.
and
Do
then
we
10 or something?
go to you first, or do you come to us first?
We go to you first, but it's right after a bye. So we get 2 weeks to prepare for you. Go to Seattle, and then we go to Minnesota, and then you come here.
Okay.
December 8th, my birthday, December 5th. So
Nice.
that'll be fun. I think you're going to see a different Cardinal team this year. We always play the Niners tough. That's, you know, unless it's in
That's why we love this league. That's why we
unless
love
it's
this
in
division.
Mexico, and
as you
then we don't.
yeah,
show
unless
up
you
at
just don't bother showing up in Mexico.
all.
Can we play you in Mexico every year? That would be great.
Jeez Louise.
I mean, those margaritas will get you.
Man, it's true.
Something happened there.
But no, we play the Niners tough anyway, and you know, again, we're kind of like we're formulated, you know, after, you know, running the ball, playing. We're trying to get our defense to that level, and just being dynamic on the outside. I feel like we have a more dynamic quarterback. You know, so we're trying to get to, you know, we play a very similar style of ball. So when we play each other, it's very physical. The difference is the Niners can do it for 4 quarters, and it seems like we can do it for about 3. So we're getting there, but the Niners are just so conditioned at doing it for the entire game, and it's odd to see them take a series or a quarter off.
But I have noticed that in the first two games of this season, they do seem to have taken.
I have noticed that too. It seems like, but I noticed that a couple times in your losing streak last year, and what was it, Cleveland, the other spot. There was spots where the offense sputtered. Yeah, but when it normally it's just a fine-tuned machine. It's humming, it's going, and You hate to see
I've
it
noticed
in
that
the
if
NFC
that
West,
sort of first quarter, as you say, at Cleveland last year, when there was that run where the spate of injuries coincided with the loss of games, it was like
yeah.
if the offense didn't quite fire that first or second series, the defense kind of felt they had to, and they kind of overexerted, and then they didn't quite stop, and then the offense still sputtered, and the defense tried a bit harder and gave up some big plays. You know, the Minnesota one when they gave up 99 yards to it. I mean, bonehead play. You should not be giving that play up from that position. You just drop. You just keep dropping as a DB, right? You don't get caught over the top.
Yeah.
That's one of those where I think the offense hadn't fired, so the defense were like, all right, we got to really get something here, and obviously switched off for a second and let Jefferson just run the length of the field. So I think that's the thing, that complementary football that they talk about. If it doesn't quite work, it's keeping the patience to, like, it will come right. Don't try and overbalance one side of the seesaw.
Yeah, I mean, that was the biggest thing there, is they were trying to do too much. So they were over pursuing and then out of position. Like, if one side isn't doing it, just do the job you're there to do, right? Because
don't try and do their job as well. Yeah,
exactly. You can't make the offense better. So just get out there and play the best defense. Don't over pursue. Stay true to what it is you're supposed to be doing. And as soon as you don't, you get beat.
Yeah. So you were 2.5 scores down or whatever it was, and it was like, wow, this is happening again in Minnesota. Wow. All right, boys, we're almost at the hour. This has been awesome catching up again. I know it's been a hit and miss beginning of the season, but this is us for every Sunday going forward.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to this. Jay, have a wonderful time down on the field today. That sounds like such an experience, man. That's going to be so great. Bring some photos next time around. I want to see some of those. That'll be great. Enjoy yourselves, Bo. Good luck against the Dolphins. They should, as you say, it's going to be one of those interesting ones, depending on who's under center. But watch out for Tyreek. You got to watch out for that guy, no matter where he goes, right?
That is exactly.
And Sam, I hope your soccer team wins, because I don't think your football team's winning today.
Not today, Sam. Not today.
Not today. All right, boys. This has been a blast. This has been the NFC West Show. It's great to be back. We'll see you guys next week.
Take it easy.
See you guys.
Still hitting them corners and them lolos.
It's the call of the Cardinals.
There's only one team, and they're the Seahawks.